7.
Question 7.
Yep, 9,
Mm-hmm.
11, and 16.
16. Okay. 1.5.
For 1.5, I have 11,
Mm-hmm.
14,
Mm-hmm.
and 33.
I cannot get the last one. Can you repeat the last number? 33.
Yep, 33.
Okay. And the last section, 1.7.
1.7, I'm fine with that.
Okay. So those are coming up in your finals. So make sure you know what to do. So I'm going to do it 1.4 today. So I think you know the finals since you take it with me today. So we will review 30 minutes, and then after that we will go over it. Then you take a test today, okay?
Are you
So
reviewing at 3 or is it
we
2:30?
will review at 3.
Okay.
And this time is only 30. I think it's not 30, it should be 12 questions, but there are 3 word problems. So when I review today, at 3 o'clock, it will be mostly on the word problems.
Okay.
Yep. And I'll definitely will go through this again, like 7 in 1.4, question 7. Okay. This question calling us to solve this by factoring. So in the finals, I don't say by what, I just say solve this. Okay. I would just say solve this. You can use whatever method you want. So this question number 7, if the question wants us to solve for factoring, then you can use factoring. But when you do factoring, you have to put this in the standard form, the highest power to lowest power. And we always want to, if you do factoring, we always want the leading coefficient to be positive. So what do I do is I take all this and move it over there. Because when I move it over there, all the signs change. So this negative 5x becomes positive 5x squared. The 39 become negative 39x. And then the 8 will become negative 8. So since this question called us to do factoring, so you can factor this because you have the A in front and the C, so you use the AC method that you guys did in P4. So 5 times negative 8 is negative 40. And then you have to do a combination. So you can get a negative 39x. I think the combination is negative 40 and positive 1. That will give me a negative 39x. So, so what you need to do here is to write this into 5 terms. So the 5x squared is there. The minus 8 is there. And then the negative 39x will be split, become negative 40x plus 1x. And that is up to you. Either you want to put the 1x first and then the negative 40x at the back. So this you can interchange. You still get the same answer. Because this is 4 terms, so we factor this by group. So this is all what you guys did in P4. So this 2 common factor here is 5x. So you will get x minus 8. This one has, the last 2 has no common factor, but you can still factor out 1. So you still get x minus 8. And as you know that when you do factoring by group, this 2 has to be the same. So that means your factor in this case is x minus 8. And then 5x plus 1. And this is all equal to 0. So now we begin to solve. So when you solve this, you just take each one of these equals to 0. And solve for x. So if this is equal to 0, x in this case will be 8. And in this case, x will be negative 1/5. So this is how we do question number 7. So your answer in this case is 8 and negative 1/5. Sinu, you okay there?
Yep.
Okay. So again, not all quadratic can be factor. I just want to point out to you, Sina. So since they call it do factor, that's why I use factoring here. So like question number 9 is asking us to use the square root property. So so what you do here is what is the square root property means you square root both sides. So for question number 9, we have x squared equals to 225. And then you take the square root. So when you take a square root, you need to have a plus minus. So that is the square root property they're asking for. And then x in this case is plus minus square root of 225. So this is what they call as the exact form. Okay, this is called the exact form. And then you use your calculator to figure out the approximation. I think square root of 225 is 15. 225 square root 225. I have 15. So in order for us to do this homework, plus minus, don't forget. So in order for us to do this, so your answer in this case, the smaller value in this case will be the negative square root of 225, which will give me negative 15. And the other one is the square root of 225, which is the same thing as 15. So Sinu, so what they do here is the first answer is, let's say this is not square root 225. Let's say this is a square root of 50. So plus minus. So the first answer that you have here, you have to reduce this. This is square root of plus minus 5 root 2. So this is what we call as an exact. So this is where you feel you got those two. And then after that, you have to use your calculator to figure out what is square root of 50 is. And then that is doing approximation. So that's how you do question 9 and question number 10. 11 is the same thing, Sinu. 4x squared minus equals to 36. So Sinu, I just want to point out to you that this is something that if you know, if you are using what method is the best to use, since if you look at this 3 question, number 9, number 10, and 11, you don't see an x term in here. Okay, usually you have an x term when you have a quadratic. So if you don't have an x term, it's the easiest way for us is to use what we call as a square root property, like what we did in number 9 and 11 here, because you do not need to factor, you don't need to use the quadratic formulas, you still get the same answer, but it's quicker. So this is something that I will tell you guys. So use the square root property when you don't have an x term in your quadratic. Okay. So in this case, we just divide by 4. So it's like solving equation. So x squared in this case will be 9. And then you take the square root of it, and don't forget to put plus minus. So this is again your exact form, and then this will give me a plus minus 3 because 9 is a perfect square of 3. So for this question number 11, this will be a negative square root of 9, which will give me a negative 3. And then this will be a square root of 9, which is a 3. So make sure you know which one is small and which one is large. So, Sino, you all right with this one? Yep. Pretty much straightforward type question here. Yeah. So, questions you have, Sino?
No, like, yeah. Since you explained it, I understand it now.
Yep. So in the test, usually I want the plus minus 3. So if the test comes out, this is what I want. Plus minus 15 is what I want, if you got it, and plus minus 3 is what I want. So if you have a square root that can be break it down, you need to break it down. But if you have like 23, like the question number 10, your answer is plus minus 23. But unfortunately, 23 cannot be break it down. So so this will be a negative square root of 23. And this is a positive square root of 23. So this is what I want in your test. I do not want you to put in decimal places because I want it in the square root form. So that is what. Then this one, you just need to use your calculator. 16 is the next one. Now, although they say use completing the square, I would not suggest you to use a completing the square because it is 5 times difficult than using the quadratic formula. So as I told you in the test, I do not tell you what way to do. So And I strongly suggest not to use completing the squares, but if you want to perform a completing the squares, this is how you do it. So in the test, you can use quadratic formula for this case. So what is completing the square first step? Completing the square first step is your a, the ax squared, the a terms, you have, if you have a, you have to divide every single one by a. So like this, this is a 4, so you have to divide everything here by 4. So they all will cancel out. So what you left in this case is x squared plus x equals to 1/4. So this is your first step. You have to get rid of your a. Second step is to isolate. So you will get your x squared and x on one side, and then you got a number on this side, which we already have it already. So you can skip step 2 because your variable x is on one side and your number is already on the other side. Otherwise, you have to move your number to the other side. So that is step 2, which we did it already. Step 3, you have to take the middle term, b, which is this one is the middle term, divided by 2, square it. This number that you have to add it to the both sides of the equation. So what you have here is 1. So you have to divide this by 2 and you square it. So this is always completing the, this is how we always do it. So this is take a 1 and divide by 2 square. So this is 1/4. So what you need to do here is we need to add 1/4 and 1/4. So you have to add 1/4 on both sides of the equation. This is what the third step is. The fourth step in this case is the 3 terms that is on this side, it can be factored. You got a 3 terms here, you can factor it. And the factor in this case is completing the square. So like what I'm talking about here is these 3 terms that you have, x squared plus x plus 1/4. You can actually factor it, and the factor is a perfect square. And how do we figure out this number? X plus is the middle term divided by 2. So it's 1/2. It's always like that. Some students ask me, is that always like that? Yes, it's always like that. Or you can take the square root of 1/4 that you get, which is also 1/2. Or you can use this one. Okay, so this is a 1/2. And if this is a plus, this is a positive. If it's a minus, it's minus. And then this side you add this 1/4 plus 1/4 is 1/2. And then the last step you have to do here, so this is completing a square, which is a lot of work, is you have to solve for x. So you have to take the square root. And when you take the square root, you need plus minus. So what we have in this case is, in order for us to solve this, we take a square root and do a plus minus. The square and square root will cancel. So what we have here is x plus 1/2 equals to plus minus 1/2. The square of 1 is 1, square of 2 is √2. And then I need to, you cannot have a square root in the denominator, so you have to rationalize it. So I multiply this by √2 over √2. So this is actually the square of 2 over 2. And then in order for me to solve for x, I need to subtract 1/2. Because this half subtracted. So your final answer in this case is plus minus √2 minus 1 all over 2. Okay, so this is your answer for this question number 16. But your online homework doesn't like plus minus, so you have to write this as 2 answers. So it will be square of 2 minus, it's a fraction, it's a square root of 2, get rid of the parentheses, minus 1 over 2. And then the other one is a negative square root of 2. So they have a negative square root of 2 minus 1 over 2. So this is how you do this using the completing the squares, which is a lot of work. But as I told you in the test, I don't tell you what way to use. So you can actually solve this using quadratic formula. Sino, you know your quadratic formula?
Yep.
Yep. So again, I won't suggest you to do the complete square. But in order for you to use a quadratic formula, this has to be equal to 0. So the 1 has to move over. So that is the thing when you do quadratic formula, you will have to have to make it equal to 0. So your A in this case will be 4. Your B in this case also will be 4. And your C is -1. So what's the quadratic formula? Sinu, quadratic formula?
Is it negative b plus or minus square root of b squared minus 4ac?
All over by?
All over by 2 times a.
Yep. So what I can tell you here is when you have this kind of quadratic equations, you can either use completing the squares, which is these horrible things, 5 steps, or you use the quadratic formula here, which is quicker and easier. Okay. So then you plug all this value in there. So b is 4, so -4, and then plus minus b squared, you square the 4, so it's 16, minus 4 times a, which is 4, and c in this case is -1, and all over by 2 times 4. Okay. And then you need to use your calculator to figure out what this is inside the square root. So you just take 16 times with -4 times with -4, because 4 times -4 is -4. Okay, so it's 16 plus 16. So your answer should be 32. You okay there, Sino?
Yep.
And then you have to break this 32 down. So 32 can be broken down by 16 times 2. And 16 is a perfect square of 4. So what we have if you use a quadratic formula is a -4 plus minus 4√2 all divided by 8, because 2 times 4 is 8. How do you reduce this kind of answer here is the 8 that you see here, you will break it into 2 pieces. So you will break the 8 into here and here. So now you can reduce the 8 and the 4 to become 2. And the 8 and the 4 here can be reduced to become 2. So this is actually become 1 when you reduce it. So your answer is -1 plus minus square root of 2 all over by 2, because the denominator is 2. And this answer is the same as this answer. So as I told you in the test, you can either use completing the square, which is a 5 steps procedure, or you can just use the quadratic formula, and that is done. Sinu, are you okay there?
Yeah, I'm okay.
Yep. So again, I mentioned again, your test, you can do either this way or this way. Your answer is still going to be the same. You good?
Yep.
Okay. Question number 15 is 1.5 is the next one. This is complex number. So you have question number 11. Okay. So how do we do question number 11 here? This is complex. You know that what is the definition of complex number, Sinu? Complex numbers always have an I on it. And what is I represent here?
Is it like, I know that it represents a lot of stuff.
Oh, it's only represent one thing. Square root of -1. So that is what the complex number is your square. If you have a square root and your square root is a negative number, that square root of that negative number is a complex number. For example, what happens when you have 49. Do you know what the square of 49 is?
7.
7. But if you have a square of negative 49, it will still get 7, but that negative will become I. So the square of negative 49 is 7i. So if you have this, question number 11, square root of negative 0.04, right? So this negative, when you take a square root, become I. So can you tell me what is the square root of 0.04? So 4 is a perfect square. 4, what is the square root of 4?
2.
So 2. So what is square root of 0.04? Your answer will be 0.2. Because when you take 0.2 times 0.2, you get 0.04. So your answer for question number 11 is 0.2i. You okay there?
Yep.
Next we have is 14. So this one is an addition. So in order for us to add complex number, you just combine like terms. But before you combine like terms, you have to make the I form for this. So can you tell me what is the simplify of square root of negative 8?
Is it 4?
I'm sorry?
4 times 2 and then square root of 4?
Yep, so this
is it 4?
Very good. This is 4 times 2, but 4 is a perfect square of
2.
2. So this is actually written down as what?
Square root of 2.
What is outside?
2, and do we square root the I too?
Nope.
Like,
nope. Again, when you have a negative, the I is outside, no square root. So that I should be outside the root. Got it, Sinu?
Yep.
So the negative inside the square root will make him I. Now you have to do the same thing on him. So what you think about square root of negative 54? 54 is what times what?
9 and 6.
9 times 6. So 9 is a perfect square of 3, right? So what is this written down as?
Square root of 6, or 3i and then square root of 6.
Yep. Now, so what we do next is we're gonna add this. Now, you can add the numbers out because the numbers are like terms. So what is negative 5 plus 7?
2.
2. Now, unfortunately, these two are not like radicand because one is a root 2 and one is a root 6. So you just put them together. So it will become, so for the I form, it's going to be 2i root 2 minus 3i root 6. Okay, so these two are not like terms. And because these two have an I term to it, so you can factor the I out. I don't know. For me, this is the answer. I'm going to try and see if that works or not. So that is the answer. I don't know, you need to factor the I form or not. Let me see. 2i square root of 2i square root of 2 minus something. Minus 3i root 6. And see what they accept this answer or not. Just if they don't accept, you probably have to factor out the I out. Okay, they don't accept the answer. Yep, kind of figure out. So what you do here is, for me, if you type this in your final test tomorrow, today if you do it, I will take it correct. So here you need to factor the I out. So you will get 2 root 2 minus 3 root 6. I'm going to try and see if I factor the I out and see if 2 root 2 and 0.36. Because of the I don't know why. Sometimes it's your online homework is very picky. Yep, that works. So yep. So what the online homework was is you have to factor out the I because they are the common factor here. But again, Sinu, you can just leave your answer like this in your test. Okay, you do not need to go on the next step.
Okay.
You all right?
Yep.
And the last one is 33. 33. Wait, is my 33. Complex number. So I negative I to the 4. Okay. So before we talk about this, so we know that I is the square root of -1, right? So what you need to do next is you square it. So when you square this both sides, you will get I squared. So I squared, in this case, square and square will cancel, you get -1. Okay. And then I cube in this case is I times I square. And because I square is -1, so this is -I. Then I4 is I square times I square. So what happened is I square is -1 times another -1. This will give me +1. So what I want to point out to you that if you got I is square root of -1. If you got I square, it is -1. I cube is -I. And I4 is +1. And what happens to I5? I5, you have to rotate it back. So I5 will be square of -1. I6 will be -1. I7 will be -I. And I8 will be 1. And then you repeat. So it's like a loop here. So when you have -I to the 4th for this question, means that this is -I times -I. You're going to do this 4 times. That's the meaning of power 4. Since we got 4 negative, what happens when you multiply all them out? What's negative times negative times negative times negative?
They all become positive.
So positive, and I times I times I times I. This is I to the power of 4. And what is I to the power of 4? I to the power of 4 is 1. So your answer in this case is 1. So this is for this question, this is 1. And if you want to do 30, so if you want to do 34, not 38, 34. So what happens to 4I to the power of 4? So this is the same thing as 4I times 4I times 4I 4 times. So what is 4 times 4 times 4? 4, 4, 4, 4. What do you get?
256.
256. I times I times I times I, you get I to the power of 4. And what is I to the power of 4 is?
1.
Is 1. So what is 256 times 1?
256.
So your answer in this case will be 256. Now, this one is the same thing as the one that I showed it to you, 35, because you have to loop. So you do not need to loop. You just need to divide the power by 4. So use your calculator, divide the power by 4. If you have a 0.25, if you get your answer something 0.25, then your answer will be negative, a square of -1. If you have your answer as 0.50 or 0.5, your answer is -1. If you have an answer is 0.75, is -I. And if you have no remainder, that means 0.00, that means it's a nice evenly, divide evenly, then your answer is 1. So you have to divide your power with 4 and figure out what you get. So like the first question is 28. What happens when you divide 28 with 4? Do you got 0.25, 0.50, 0.75, or you divide evenly? Sinu? 28. What is 28 divided? You take the power and you divide by 4. So what you get?
7.
Do you have any decimals when you divide by 4?
No, it's just 28 divided by 4 is 7.
Yep. So if there's no decimals, that means it's divided evenly, then your answer is 1. Okay. So what I'm talking about here, Sinu, is you take the power 21 divided by 4. If you have a decimals is 0.25, then your answer is the first one. You see that?
Yep.
If your decimal is a 0.5, then it's the second I2. And then if a decimal is 0.75, it's I3. If there's no decimal, like the one that you just did is divide evenly, then it's the fourth one. So for this 21, your answer in this case is square root of -1, or just I in this case. 42. You want to figure out what is 42 divided by 4 is? What remainder you get?
10.5.
So which one you is? Is that number 1, number 2, number 3, or number 4?
Number 2.
So your answer is -1. You got what I'm saying here, Sinu?
Yep.
Do the same thing. 59 divided by 4. What you get?
14.75.
Is that number 1, number 2, number 3, or number 4?
Number 3.
So your answer is -I. So this is how you figure out for the powers. If you got, I do not want you to loop, but you just need to divide your answer by 4. And then you look at your decimals, and your decimals is the same as those. Then you'll be those 4, 25, 50, 75, and no evenly. So that's how you figure out. You okay there, Sinu?
Yep.
All right. Any questions you have? Because I can start reviewing with you now, since you've done all the questions.
I think this is about it. I think the hugest question I had was how do I put in the answer plus or minus? But
yeah, your online homework, they don't like plus and minuses.
Yeah.
So you have to do 2. Yep. So if you have like 6 plus minus 3i, then you have to write your answer as 6 minus 3i, comma 6 plus 3i.
Is there like a specific way, like the minus first?
Doesn't matter. I don't think so. Your online homework it doesn't matter which one comes first.
Okay.
But you know that this is small. Usually the minus one is smaller. So since this all question doesn't say who is a smaller one come first, so you do not need to do it actually. So you do not need to. So you don't. The order is not important. So your online homework wants you to write this way, 2 answers. But in my test, you just give me this.
Okay.
You do not need to write your answer like this, separate the 2.
And then I have a quick question about the review.
Mm-hmm.
For the review, do you want us to go over all 23 questions?
There are some questions you don't do it, so I'm going to tell you which one now. So let me get the review stuff here. This is your textbook, which is the same as your the finals. So go all the way down to chapter test. So this is a review, right? That I post. It's the same.
Mm-hmm.
You do not need to do 1 to 6. No 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. In your finals, I don't ask for symmetry with respect to the X or Y origin. I don't see I want you to graph this. So nope, you do. Actually, you can skip 1 to 6 here. 7 and 12 is the one that you need to do. Okay. Skip 11. So I'm going to tell you what number to skip, so you do not need to do all of this. So so for your review for your finals, you don't need to do 1 to 6. 7, yes. 8, yes. 9, yes. 10, yes. 11, no. 11 is very tough. I don't want to do 11. 12, yes. 13, yes. 14, 15, no. So there are some no one because we do not do the whole chapter 1. We only do 6 sections. I think chapter 1 has like 7 or 8 sections. Yes, you do number 17 and 8. 17, yes. 18, yes. 19 for sure, yes. 20 is the 20. You do not this one. I do not. That is not a word problem. I will be assigning on 20. 21, 22, 23. So these are not all the word problems. So don't do all these word problem because I will do the word problems that I will do. So none of these word problems in the review is coming out in your finals. So I will do a few of them so you know what is going on. But the rest of them will be in your finals.
Okay.
Okay. So that means 7 till 12, not 11. 13 and 16 and 17 and 18 and 19. Yep. So those are the one that comes up in your finals. So what I want to talk about is the review for your finals now is your word problem. Okay, because there's no word problems here. I mean, the word problem over there is in your finals. So I'm going to talk about word problem here. So senior, please pay attention. So either you want to do it now. I mean, this is so you do not need to have another final review for your finals at 3 o'clock. If you want, we can. But so there are 3 word problems in your finals. So I will do the first one. So for the first word problem, is using percent. Okay. For example, is let's say you buy something. Let's say you got 2 things. The price of an apple is 10% less than the price of the orange. If you buy both, the total price for both is, let's say, $1.70, for example. I don't know. So how much is an orange and how much is an apple? So the question is, how much is it for one orange? And how much is an apple? Okay. So so what you need to, this is considered percent, this is tough. That's why I need to go through this with you. So so when you read this, the price of an apple is 10% less than the price of an orange. So you have to declare X here. So how do you declare X is the one that comes to the very end of a sentence. So if you read this sentence, which comes at the end, the price of the apple or the price of an orange? Apple or orange? The one that comes at the very end of that sentence.
Orange?
Yes, this is orange. This is price of an orange. Okay. And then what is the price of an apple? For a price on the apple, you say it's 10% less. 10% less, because the price of orange is 100%. So if your price of apple is 10% less, what is 100 minus 10? So that will be 90%, right?
Mm-hmm.
So 90% in this case will be 0.9x. So this is the price of an apple, which is 0.9x. The price of orange is 1x. So the total price in this case is $1.70. So total price means you add this. You add the price of an orange with the price of an apple, you will get $1.70. So you add this one up because this is like terms, so you can add it up. So 1 plus 0.09 is 1.9x equals to $1.70. And then you divide this by $1.90. So x in this case, if you use your calculator, 1.7 divided by 1.9, 0.89 cents. So that this 89 cents is the price of an orange. And then in order for us to find the price of the apple, you just need to multiply it by 0.9. So you take this times with 0.9. So how much? 0.81. So 81 cents is the price of an apple. And if you want to check your answer, you add these two up, you should get $1.70. You okay there?
Yep.
Now I give you another one, you do it. Same thing. The price of a t-shirt is 25% more than the price of the socks, of a pair of socks. And let's say the total price for this, for the t-shirt and the pair of socks is, let's say, $2.70. What is the price of a t-shirt? How much is the t-shirt cost? And how much is a pair of socks cost? You want to try this one? Sinu? Go ahead and try it.
Yeah, I can try it.
Yeah, go ahead, because this is in your finals. Yep, try it, and I will try it myself too. So tell me how much is the socks cost and how much is the t-shirt cost. And if you doesn't know how to do it, it's fine. Just let me know and I will teach you how to do it. Because this is in your test, in the finals. Don't forget, make sure you declare which one is X first. And the X always comes at the very last. That's how you figure X. So Sinu, can you tell me which one is your X here? The price of a t-shirt or the price of a socks?
The price of a sock.
This is X. Can you tell me what is the price of a t-shirt in terms of X?
Is it 1.25x?
Very good. That is correct. I say the total of this is 270. Can you create an equation from here?
X plus 1.25x equals 2.70.
So can you solve this and tell me what is X is?
X is 1.2.
So what is that? Is that socks or is that t-shirt? Is that socks or is that t-shirt? It's fine. I think it's. You can type. Just type in your chat room. So yep. So this is socks. How much is a t-shirt? Is that? Yep, $1.50. Yep, that's correct. Yep, this is good. You okay there? You okay? So this is one of the word problems. So I give you another one. The next word problems that we have is you got a test. So let's say you take 3 tests and you get 75 on the first test, 82 on the second test, and 90, not 90, let's say 85 on the third test. And you are waiting for your finals. You are taking a finals, so you doesn't know what's going on. Okay. Let's say that you cannot get an A in a class because your test score is too low, but you can get a B in a class, and to get a B in a class, your average is gonna be between 80 to 89. So if you get 80 to 89 as an average of this 4 tests, actually 4 tests, including the finals. So my question is, what is your final score? Final test score. You know what I'm trying to ask you, Sino? Sino, you got what I'm trying to ask you?
Yep.
Okay. So so what we're gonna do here is because it's an average, so you have to figure out which one is X. This is easy. The final score will be X here. So average means you add everything up and divide it by the total number. So you will add 75, 82, 85, X, because that's a final, we didn't know. And this is our 4. Okay. To get a B, you have to score between 80 to 89. So this is actually going to be what we call as inequality that you did in 8.7. Okay. Because your score has to be between 80 to 89 to get a B. So how do we solve this type of inequality? Is first we multiply everything by 4. So get rid of the fraction. So multiply everything here by 4. So 4 and 4 will cancel. So what we have is 320 here. And then 89 times 4 is 356. And you have to add all these numbers up for me. Go ahead and add all these numbers up. 75 plus 82 plus 85. So it's 242 plus X. So in order for us to get X by itself, you have to subtract 242 on both sides. So what you get when you subtract 242 on both sides?
On the left side, I got a 78.
Uh-huh. Very good. And the other side?
And then on the other side, I got 114.
That means that your test, you had to score between 78 and 100. So you cannot count 114 because your highest score is 100. So this is no good. So that means in order for you to get a B in the class, you need to have 78 to 100. You okay there, Sino?
Yep.
Okay, so this is one of the second type of word problems you will get in my test, which is not difficult, but make sure you know how to set it up because it's an average type. And the third type is a rectangle, not triangle, a rectangle. So let's say that the length of the rectangle is 3 times longer than its width. And let's say that the perimeter in this case is 50 meters, for example. What is the length is, and what is the width? So this is a last questions that you get for word problems. So how do we do this question is we will draw yourself a rectangle. Which one is X here, the length or the width?
Is it the length?
Again, like last time I teach you, the one that comes last is always X.
Okay.
So which one comes last here?
The width.
The width, so this is X. The length is 3 times longer. So how do we write?
3x.
3x, yep. So now fill in this rectangle. So this is the width, which is x, and the length is 3x. So this will also 3x because it's the same, and the other one is also x. What is the meaning when I say the perimeter is 50 meters? Can you figure out an equation from here?
X plus 3x equals 50.
No, perimeter is everything around it. So you only add these two.
Oh, so is it 2x plus 6?
Yes.
Or,
yep,
yeah,
you're correct. 2x plus 6x
equals 50.
Mm-hmm. So how many x we have?
You have 8x.
And then x in this, you divide, right?
Yep.
So 50 divided by 8, 6.25. So can you tell me what is your width and what is your length here?
The width is 6.25.
Mm-hmm.
And then the length is
3 times of it, right?
Yeah. So 18.75.
Mm-hmm. Yep, that's correct. And don't forget the units, there are meters here. You okay there, Sinu?
Yep.
So this is, so as I mentioned, these are the 3 kind of word problems you will get in the test. So it can be, the first one is the percentage one. The second one is the average of a test score. And then the third one is this perimeter type with a rectangle. You okay there?
Yeah, I'm okay.
All right. Next, we're going to talk about is solving some equations here. So let's take a look at the review that. So those are the 3 types of word problems. So the rest is, if you have to do inequality, you have to graph it. Do you know how to graph and the answer in inequality? Example like 13. -3 less than 2x plus 4 less than 14. Do you know how to solve this and then graph it?
Yeah, so let's see. So times both sides by 2 or
But
divide Divide both sides by 2.
Okay, divide both sides by 2. Yep, that's better. So this is -3/2. This 2 and 2 will cancel out. So you still get x plus 4 here. And 14, 2 becomes 7, right?
Yep.
That's what you do that.
And then subtract both sides by 4.
Yep. Subtract everything by 4. Do you know how to use your calculator to do fractions? This is 3, I know. ABC. So use your calculator and try to do you know what this is? When you subtract this by 4. You can give me in decimals too if you want to. I'm not that picky actually.
Is it 5.5?
-5.5, yep. So this is your answer here, but how you graph it? Because the question also, in your test, also I asked you to graph. How do you graph this? Do you need to give me like 0, label it 0, 1, 2? Do you need to do that? No. So what you need to do is you give me these two numbers. One is -5.5 and one is 3. If you see this, what symbol should we use?
The bracket.
The brackets. And this, what symbol we use?
The parentheses.
Yep, and then you draw a line in the middle. So this is how you graph it. Okay. You okay there?
Yeah.
Do you know how to do number 16? I'm going to change 16 a little bit to become absolute value of 3x plus 5 minus 2 greater than or equals to 10. So I put a -2 in there. The rest is the same. So do you know what to do if I have a -2 in here? So what do you need to get rid of first?
The negative or -2, so +2.
Yep. So this is usually what I do here is I will get, if you have -2, you add +2. So that will give me 12. So you got 3x plus 5 in the absolute value. So how do you get rid of the absolute value for a greater symbol? This is a formula you need to know. You know which one, what is the, how you break this into? So in order for you to do this, it's going to be 3x plus 5 less than or equals to -12. So you switch on this, and then the other one is exactly the same. 3x plus 5 is greater than or equals to 12.
So basically, in order to get rid of that, or the absolute value, you just switch the...
Yep, you have to have two answers. So in order for you to get rid of this absolute value, and if it's a greater sign, this is how you do it. And then you solve, so you move the 5 over. So 3x is less than or equals to -17. Then you divide by 3. So x in this case is less than or equals to -17 over 3. This one, you do the same thing. You move this over, become -5. So 3x in this case is greater than or equals to 7. So x in this case is greater than or equals to 7 over 3. So usually when you have a greater sign, your picture or your graph will look, one goes on the left side, which is at -17 over 3, and one will go to the right side at 7, 3. You okay there?
Yep.
So this is what happens when you have greater than. What happens if you have less than or equal to, or just less than 12? So this is for greater. So what happens to less than? If you have less than, then the inequality will look like number 13 here. So you will have a -12 less than 3x plus 5 less than 12. So if you have less than, your graph is going to be in between these two numbers. If you have a greater than, your graph will be one going to the left and 1 going to the right. So this one is the same thing as number 13. You solve it, you minus 5. So you will get negative 17, 3x, and 7. And then you divide this by 3. So this is your answer. So if you want to graph it, it looks exactly like what we have down there, but this time it's going to be parentheses because there's no equal sign. The middle here is negative 17 over 3, and then 7 over 3. Sidhu, you okay there?
So depending on how you graph it, is depending on the greater or less than.
Yes, you're correct. So if you have greater than or greater than equals to, either one of this, you will have going left and right, but greater than you use parentheses. If you have an equal to, we use a bracket. Same thing happens if you have less than, it's going to be in the middle. If it's no equal to, it's parentheses. If you have an equal to, then your answer will be a bracket. Okay, so you just need to watch carefully which one is which. For example, is yeah, you will see this in your homework also. I don't know if you start your 1.7 homework yet. So if you go for your 1.7 homework, you will get something like that. So I'll let you try to do one of the question here. It should be absolute value with inequality. Like this one. Yeah, we can try this one. This is special. Now, this question number 21, I know you did it or not, because this number is a negative one, is special. So when you have an absolute value, and you have a greater than, and this number is a negative number, your answer in this case is all real solution. Because no matter what number you put inside this x, it'll become positive. Because absolute value means positive. And if you have a negative number, any positive number is greater than a negative number. That's why it's all real numbers. But if you switch around the sign, so if you have anything that is less than a negative number, your answer in this case will be no solution. Because again, this is a positive number. And none of the positive number is less than a negative number. So that's the reason why that your answer is no solution. So for this case, you can tell your answer here is no solution because it is less than that number. So if it's no solution, then your graph will be empty. So leave it blank. No solution, you leave it blank. Try to do question number 22. You want to try to do number 22? See?
Yeah.
Because this is a positive number, your answer is not no solution. This one looks like, which one you want to do number 22? Is that this type or the other type?
The middle one?
The middle one or right one?
The middle one?
What's the sign? What's the inequality sign here? What's the inequality sign here? Is that less than or is that greater than?
It's what is it? Less than or equal to 9.
Yep. So which one should we do? This one is for what?
Oh, greater. What is it?
And so you should follow which one? The right side or the middle side? You should follow the right side because the inequality is less than.
Oh, okay, so if it's less than, then you do
this one.
Oh, I thought it was what is greater than or less than?
Greater than is use this one. So for number 22, you have to use this. So what do you have?
-9. and then
Mm-hmm.
is less to x minus 20,
Mm-hmm.
and then is less to 9.
Mm-hmm. How do you solve for x here?
Plus 20 both sides.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. What'd you get?
Uh, what is it? 11 on the left side,
Mm-hmm.
and then 29 on the right side.
So your answer is
Uh, what is it? Parentheses, or
middle
yeah,
one, right? This one.
that one,
Yep. How do you graph it?
and then parentheses on the 11, and
So 11 is right here. Don't forget this 10, 11, 12. And mhm,
then the other one on 29.
29th is this one. And then don't forget to draw a line in the middle. You got it?
Yep.
So make sure you have 11 and the line in the middle, because if you don't draw the line in the middle, they mark you wrong also. You okay?
Yeah, I'm okay.
Yep.
So all of this is going to be
Oh, sorry. It's equal to. Yeah, sorry. It is. This one has an equality, so this one also have an equal. Sorry about that. Because this one has an equal. So that means you have equal on this one. And if you have equal for this one, you cannot use this anymore. You have to change it to what?
the brackets.
The brackets, yeah. Yep. Yeah, I didn't see the equal sign. Okay. How about number 24?
24.
Last one before we go here.
All right.
We probably go a little bit review before you take a test. But the word problems is those, so I want you to, I will review a little bit more on like complex numbers and solving equations. So are we gonna use for 24, are we doing this method? The one like what we did previously?
Nope, you're not using that method because 8 is less than 7 minus 5x.
So it's 7 minus 5x is less than or equals to what?
-8.
Or
7 minus 5x is greater than 8.
Yep.
Greater than or equal to 8.
Yep. So that means one goes left, one goes right. Solve for x. You know how to solve for x, this one?
Yep, so subtract 7 to both sides.
Mm-hmm. So negative 5x is less than or equals to negative 15. And then what happens next?
And then divide by -5 on both sides.
And what happens when you divide with a negative number?
The sign switches around.
So we become what?
X is greater than or equal to 3.
Yep. So make sure you know that this one you have to switch your sign, inequality. Same thing over here. You subtract 7. What do you get?
What is it? -5x is greater than or equal to 1.
And then you
divide by -5.
And what happens?
The sign switches again. So x is less than or equal to -1/5.
So this is your answer. And when you draw the graph, this will go left at -1/5. And this will go right on 3. So which one is your answer in this case? It looks like last one here, right? X is less than or equal to -1/5, or X is greater than or equal to 3. How do you graph this? -1/5 is 0.2. -0.2. This is 0.5. 0.2 is right here. And it goes towards this side. And then the other one is 3. And open up and goes to the right side. I think that's how you do this one. And again, in your test, just put down -1/5 in that graph. So you do not need to worry about, where is 0.2 at. So the graph in the test, this is what you need to graph. You with me, yes, you know?
Yep.
You do not need to do like this, like draw a number line and do all those crazy works. Question so far?
No, everything's been good, so I understand everything.
Yep. So this is the 1.7 homework. So when you come back on the review session today, we will be going over some questions like how you solve equation like this, like number 7, number 8, number 9. Okay, how you solve it, number 12, solving equations. So I will teach you how to do that, and then we'll do a little bit of how do you do complex number like this kind.
Okay.
And then again, I'll look up at how you do your quadratic formula. So this one requires you to use quadratic formula to do it. So I'll recommend you to, I want to see how you do a quadratic formula, because in your test, it will be something like that. So I will go over these few questions on today at 3 o'clock with you.
Okay. And then after the test, then just take a picture and submit it onto D2L.
Yep. I think it's already in. Let me check your D2L. I think it's already. Yep. Submit under assessment and assignments, and I think that's a final. Yeah, final here. Submit over here.
Okay.
Yep. Go ahead and submit once you know how to do it, right?
Yep. I did the drill.
Yeah, you did. Yep, I saw it. Yep. That was good. Yep. Questions?
Nope. Yeah.